Good evening. This is the Water Department Water Board meeting, January 28, 2014. In attendance are the three commissioners, Mr. Dalzell, Mr. Toomey, and Mr. Ricker. And we have Carmine and our Superintendent Mark here, interim Superintendent Mark here tonight, and we also have Glenn Smith here to help us with another issue. So, first order of business, accept the minutes for 12/30/14.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. Can you skip over that and take care of Glenn's business so he can get along? He has his granddaughter. Yeah.
Okay.
So we don't hold him up.
All right, let's start off with Glenn.
Just the most important one.
Okay, as you all know, past practice has been to purchase brass from a vendor, and then we had been selling it to the contractors for all the meter fittings and the cellar valves and the water meters. We've been requested not to do that anymore due to sales tax regulations and such. So we've made an agreement with Tide Sales that they will now sell directly to the contractors in town. They will ship the product here so that we can keep track of who's doing water meters when and water services when. And we have a little more control over when the water gets turned on and make sure that the water systems are flushed before the meters are installed, et cetera, et cetera. So we've put together an invoice type that we can put the customer and the customer address on, and then we will send the check and the invoice to Tie Sales, and they will credit our account at this point for the stuff that we have in-house, and in the future they will ship it to us, and then we can get it to the contractor. Just gives us some control over it.
You're going to be going back on time with this, or is this just going forward?
This is going forward.
Okay. So a contractor comes in here, he applies for a hookup permit,
Correct.
and you say where, and then, okay, what are your specifications? And then do you place the order, or do you tell him to call the order in?
We'll place the order via this work order, this invoice,
And then,
and then the vendor will ship it to us.
So the customer sends Tide Sales a check.
Correct.
will he ship before the check is received, or is it?
No.
Okay. So the check's got to get there.
Not eventually it won't be. Right now we have an inventory of stock that we bought last summer
Okay.
for the big developments, and now they're going to credit us for what we purchased based on our sales, and they will pay the sales tax.
Okay.
You're gonna keep some stuff in stock, those that you've got it.
Absolutely. We've got four setups that we're keeping as repair stock.
Okay.
What about the quality control factor?
Well, that's why we will eventually have it shipped here, so that we can keep track of not only who's doing what when, but also what materials are being used, so that
So it's used the way that you want it used.
exactly. And a cellar valve that we buy, or that we have the vendor buy, is a 350-pound cellar valve. That way they don't fail, like going to the hardware store and buying a $15 100-pound brass valve.
Makes sense to me.
And by having the inventory here, we have to inspect the water service line when it goes in And a lot of times it goes into the foundation, and then we wait until the house is closed in, then they'll put the meter horn and the brass in, and then if we have the meter here, nobody's turning services on without us knowing about it.
Exactly.
And we can go make sure the line is flushed before the meter gets put in, put the meter in, make sure there's no leaks at the meter, and set up their account.
Do other communities do this?
More and more are going to start it.
And looking ahead, I mean, for today, it solves two problems. The quality control, we know what's going on and when it's going on, but also, instead of trying to return the inventory we have, it's a solution for today. But looking ahead, if it works today, it's gonna work tomorrow. But again, looking ahead, probably annually, we can go out to bid for a blanket order rather than just go to one vendor all the time. We can, at the end of the year or a certain amount of time, say, hey, we got the system set up. Would you like to bid on it? And that way, we can, one other factor is the standardization. We get a complete system that's somewhat standard. We don't have to go to the same place. But we can go out for bid every year just to make sure we're getting a good price. And also, it doesn't have the appearance that we're going to that one place all the time.
The only thing that's single sourced really is the water meters, because they're Neptune and it's a Neptune system that we've got. You know, we don't wanna start mixing systems.
No, that was the thing we was trying to get out a couple of years ago.
Two or three different
Right.
readers to try to read the
Yeah, we
different.
can't,
the different meters.
we have to go with that, unless we can find a generic that works on that system.
I mean, we went through that a couple of years ago, I mean,
Yes.
bringing it up. And we went to, so we had all the same Neptune meters that,
And this ties into the current RFP that we have, that the town has out, the bids due tomorrow, where a company is going to come in for at least a year to do the billing and receiving of materials. I'm not sure what the scope of that is. I haven't seen the RFP yet, but I believe we are still going to go around and take the readings. So we are still going to be involved with the hardware and the taking of the meter readings. So we don't want to change from the Neptune. We want to keep that standard.
no, that's why we bought the computer set up for the pickup, because it would handle those meters, but it wouldn't handle the other thing.
So do we need to put a vote to this procedure or protocol?
We just want to run it by you if you're happy with it. If no one objects, we'll just do it this way. We're just trying to be transparent about it. I don't think we're not required to vote on it.
I don't sell it.
I have no problem with it.
No problem.
If Glenn could stick around for this as much as possible, and these, if we could.
Yeah.
And then after that, I have some things for the new treatment plant.
Want to do the bills first, or what?
Okay. Up to you. Can I see them so I can pass them to you and tell you what it is?
All right, that's a good idea.
Okay, this is for repairing the backhoe. We went out and got another cylinder, but we found out that this represents all the costs together. I told you last meeting that we were gonna put the cylinder in. It turns out that we have the 200-hour, 2,000-hour service to do, which changes all the oil and everything. These guys work on field service. They come here and they get it done. So there's going to be 2 trucks, portal to portal, and it's a time and material thing. This is the estimate. So not including the replacement cylinder, the whole thing is about $3,400. So if you add the cylinder, it's about $4,400 for the 2,000-hour service and repairing that cylinder. But we did save $2,000 on getting a different cylinder from a different source. But this represents complete service to the backhoe.
From a CAT certified dealer. And they bring the old cylinder back.
Yeah, we can't use it,
So they already spent $1,000 on this, right?
well, the way they work it is when they came and took the cylinder out and brought it back and took it apart and gave us an estimate towards repairing it. But even though we can't repair it, they still charge to come up and get it and bring it back and inspect it. I think in the future, what we're looking at here is a pre-approved blanket order for someone to do this kind of stuff. Because there's no way, well, just to get them, you gotta spend $1,000 just to find out how much it's gonna cost you.
You know, that's the thing with CAT. I mean, they come all the way from Milford. You know, I mean, that's why I was saying before that we had the problem with the generators. You know, there's other people can come around and work on this stuff and change the oil or whatever.
So,
I mean, you pay for them from leaving Milford to come here and back to Milford.
yeah, you charge for time and for miles.
Mileage, yes.
So I guess, again, what we gotta do is, I mean, we do have to be able to call up and say, hey, fix this, but we need to get pre-approval through a blanket order on these guys. Or somebody, we should go out to bid and get multiple, again, we need a blanket order pre-approval so that, I mean, it's just like gas or oil. You need to call up and say, I need more of this.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but we have to find a way to make it pre-approved, so I think a blanket order with multiple quotes is the way to go. Differently.
We've got a backhoe out there that's fairly new, low hours. This will get us CAT certified service, Caterpillar replacement parts.
Well, we're lucky to have two of our board members that are heavy equipment guys.
What happened to the shaft get scratched or something?
The shaft is bent, the head is
How did that happen?
more,
Did you hit something?
I don't know, it was leaking a little bit since I've got it here, and when we were doing the leak out on Kittery, it just started hemorrhaging hydraulic.
Because the shaft was bent.
Okay.
Or
The
the
shaft is bent, the cylinder's
or
worn,
the,
and the head's going.
Packing.
You must have tried to do something that wasn't supposed to do.
That's what I was
Okay.
thinking too. Somebody was.
I guess, you know, previously, I guess there wasn't just one operator on that either.
No, that makes, it's the same with that thing, and you know that.
Rock might have hit it, put a gouge in it, that tears the packing.
Was that approved?
Oh, thank you.
The next thing I've got is, the new treatment plant has a bunch, well, some confined spaces, and we have confined spaces throughout the system. But we don't have the equipment to do it ourselves. We currently have to call someone in for confined space, is that the way it goes? But the equipment, this is a tripod and a harness, and you've got to be able to yank somebody out if they get into bad gas. And that's this is a quote for $2,300 and $2,365, $2,365.
These are from April.
But we talked about that a while back, I remember.
Well,
We
these
were
guys,
gonna get this tripod thing.
well, these guys had to have confined space entry training.
Right, I thought we talked about that, and when Scott was told the board that we was gonna do that and have the tripod inside.
Well, it's a portable thing, so you keep
Right.
it in the closet, and then when you need to get into a
But
tank.
I know we talked, if you go back in the minutes, I think you'll find a year ago, we talked about that, we
Yeah, we did.
I
located.
think you'll find that's when these quotes came in, June of 2013.
We never bought the material.
They were never purchased.
Did you get the training?
I've had the training.
I thought we were located to do it.
I would just like to say in the future, I'd rather not call Caterpillar,
Okay.
because he's kind of local technicians to save considerable.
We will do that.
The thing is still that I don't like about Cat, you get paid from all the way from Milford.
Yeah.
You know, that's an hour of that, plus mileage,
No,
an
they
hour
don't.
from back.
They have a place in Redden now
Reading Mountain.
also.
Yeah, they're coming from Reading, so the distance, the mileage isn't so bad.
So
Yeah.
so it's not so bad.
Yeah. Is that a fair price according to your experience?
Well,
With the Caterpillar,
Yeah.
They
I mean,
can't-
for this purchase one?
I think it's a little rugged myself.
Well,
Like
they charge
But when it
$1,000
says Cat on
to
it,
take
you
the
know it's
thing
right.
off. They charge $1,000 to take the thing off, and
Yeah.
then they charge $250 to put it back on.
Yeah,
300 to put it back.
it was John Deere occasionally, half of that.
These are estimates, just I got over the phone.
Yeah.
It's all time and material. I'm thinking that I put 300 down there, but they've got everything apart to do the service anyway, it should be less. I'm not gonna show them this, I'm just gonna let them go do it, I'm just looking for approval. I'm not gonna suggest he should spend all of this, but, I talked to him on the phone today, he said it's 1,500 for the, it's $1,500 for the 2,000 hour service, but then you add on 2 trucks, 2 persons, probably hazardous waste disposal, I don't know that for sure. But I conservatively put $600 in there, but it could be somewhat less.
It's just the fluid, good chunk of that.
They get you for the disposal of the oil, they get you for the rags, they get you for the overseas.
Thing is, we gotta get it done. and
Well,
we
exactly.
could, I mean, from going forward, we should, Glenn already mentioned that there's a guy local we could get next time, but for now, it probably makes sense to get it done.
Get it fixed.
Yeah, well, if we throw it down, finish it, surface it.
Well, is there any warranties that we're gonna get void if we have a non-Cat trained technician on the vehicle?
The machine's what, 10 years old?
I don't know, is it?
There's no warranty.
I'm not sure what year that is.
Yeah, it's not,
It's about
10
10
years since I've been here.
yeah,
Okay.
okay.
All right, confined space, safety equipment, 2215, did you get 3 quotes?
No. Would you like me to?
And you got it from Atlantic Asphalt.
This was from last June, I think. I think you were the only one that was here when that happened. I can get some fresh quotes. They'll probably be higher.
Well,
We do need it, we do need them.
Well, I'm just thinking,
I'm wondering if the emergency response van has a tripod for confined space. The fire department.
they might, and they probably do, and they probably should. The thing is that when we take on the new water treatment plant, you're gonna probably double the amount of chances you're gonna be using. I mean, routine maintenance is gonna require it. There are tanks down there with the, even though there are exits on both sides, some of them are considered confined spaces.
All vault is,
All of our vaults are confined
Confined space.
space.
vaults are confined space.
I tell you what,
What's the 154?
shipping. I'll make a couple phone calls and see if I can get it significantly cheaper. If I can, I'll redo it. But I'm just we're looking at April, May for things to go online. We don't wanna call the fire department to get a tripod to go down and, fix a valve.
Well, this is safety, you don't want to,
Yeah,
if
you
you
can't
don't
play
want to skimp on it.
It's not just a tripod, it's the harness that goes with it. Yeah, exactly. We have,
Harness, the hoist, the anti-shock lanyard.
The important thing when you have a train with once in a while, so it doesn't get stuck in the corner. The emergency comes, heaven forbid.
well, it's gotta be kept in locked storage where you're gonna use it. It almost justifies having one at the treatment plant and one for going around, but one will be enough. There's only one crew anyway, so this has to make sure.
Well, where are the vaults other than the treatment plant now?
Each well.
I guess that's one means of egress,
Yes.
it's called a vault.
Do we have street vaults? The street?
We don't yet.
Mhm.
The one we were talking about the other day
Would be.
would end up with.
But you wouldn't use this for wellhead, so you would only use this at the treatment plant where you have a tank that's subterranean or whatever, you have to come down from the hatch, right?
Should be using it at well 5 for any of the, for the vault there. At well 2, our sample line vaults are also confined space.
What do they use now? A
Ladder
ladder?
hasn't been a ladder.
These are.
So the problem with the ladder is that if somebody gets down in there, then you can't haul them out of there.
Correct.
Yeah, you need one person up above looking down, we need one person down, and you need someone away from you need at least 3 people.
In addition to this, we're also supposed to have a gas detector at a minimum oxygen. And there's a 4 gas detector out there that does oxygen, carbon monoxide,
Methane,
combustibles,
hydrogen sulfide.
and hydrogen sulfide.
Well, it's nice to have your own equipment, but you can also rent those real easy. You can go down and get one. Down in Reading.
Well, you're in this business,
Yeah.
so what do you suggest we do for our operation?
I suggest you,
Rent them, purchase or rent? Yeah.
I think you should purchase one yourself, you have it when you need it.
Yeah. And when you own it, you still gotta get it calibrated periodically.
Well, when it comes to safety, you can't play around. I mean, with all the insurance regulations and everything nowadays and everything else, I mean, as far as I understand, we should have one.
And we should look at the gas detectors, because some of the new ones are inexpensive, and they're basically throwaways.
Yeah, cheaper than repair.
The heads on the permanent ones are almost what it would cost you to buy a new meter.
You can rent them
For
for,
the sensors.
you can rent them for like $75 a day.
Yeah.
If you buy one, it's like $4 or $5 grand.
$250 for an oxygen meter that's good for 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the newer ones, come down.
That's an oxygen meter.
Yeah,
Whatever.
you need one for a gas meter. And if we rented one, I'm not being sarcastic, do they drop it off? I mean, there are some rental equipment people that will drop off what you need at your house, at your,
I'm just throwing it out for an idea.
yeah,
You don't have to worry about calibration. It comes calibrated.
right. If we have to go get it, now we're paying someone to go get it and bring it back.
Yeah, but it's
So,
a half hour down to pick it up, and it's a half hour back. I don't know.
what do you think?
I mean,
Oh, okay, this is about the tripod and the harness, we need that, and
I
then
think it makes
we
sense
can,
to have
we
that.
can explore we'll get some,
Numbers.
we'll come back with you with some good information. I don't know right now. This pile is, I'm gonna give this to Glenn, this is for routine things that we buy for chemicals, etc. Some of them are already placed, and some of them are requisitioned.
That one's to EJ Prescott. It was stuff that we needed for erosion control where we were doing some work out at well 5 and
The standard chemicals.
no, that one's the straw wattle and the stakes for the vernal pool.
Yeah, but we already bought that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is already bought?
It's already bought, installed, and Brent was very pleased.
Okay.
That one's standard chemical.
Yeah, standard. Purchased already?
Yes.
What was purchased?
This is hard cross, this is our chlorine. We're down to 4 drums at a time. We're still using chlorine at 2 and 5. 3 is off. $600-gallon bulk caustic soda for the corrosion control at well 2.
Already purchased.
Already purchased, should be delivered tomorrow.
So what was the matter with the hydrant up to Bell Circle?
The internal coupling broke and the valve leaked through enough so that it was spraying water out of it. So we took that apart, we put new coupling and coupling nuts on the inside of it, serviced it, lubed it, put it back in yesterday. That's repair clamps for the 8-inch AC pipe. One to go in the hole and 2-foot shove. And that's the ignition coil for the plow truck. Purchased on the way in during the storm and installed before the last storm so that it would run on 10 cylinders.
No, you can't run on 9?
We didn't like running on 9. And when it stalled, it was really tough to get the car moving.
How many cylinders?
10. It's a V10.
What?
The Ford,
The 110 dump.
the 1-ton dump truck. Go to use for farming.
It's not running on all 10 cylinders then.
Yeah, it is running on all 10 cylinders today.
Okay, so we got,
Okay, so we can go to the warrant.
We actually had that temporarily fixed in the middle of the first snowstorm.
17.
Yeah.
03. 18, 2, 61, 78. Beacon Electrical Services, repair parts, 66.93. Biomarine, 99. Town samples for secondary. Cleaning of the
hold
office.
it, let's take a look at
Would you know
that.
which coil it was, Glenn?
What?
Would you know which coil it was?
We actually have a code reader,
Okay.
so it tells us that number 2 cylinders misfiring. And in the middle of the first snowstorm at night, there's a kid that's got ABS down on Middle Street and may have the wrong initials, Miles. Ron had him come up and he looked at it and he put a used coil in it that got us through the night, that night. And then when it started to snow that Saturday, I picked one up on the way in, stopped at that, and found everything for it.
Gig safe. 60.
That was a good price for it.
Unemployment, 103. How's that for?
What do you mean, one?
On the bottom, those are highlighted.
What's 103?
Next page, on the bottom there, where it's the yellow highlight there.
Oh, so what happened here?
I think that's just interest or something.
There's interest,
Interest on unemployment or something.
yeah.
This is a bill we approved before, and there was
Yeah.
some interest because we paid late.
Right, and then just for the amount on the highlighted
All right.
area.
Invoice for professional services and Geo Ambit Consultants, 1158.
Right, it was
It's John Hargraves.
No, above, one above them, this one here. Geo Ambit
now
Consultants.
what's equipment parts source, what's this?
That one's.
Stabilizer zone for the cat.
Oh, this is the one we had a,
Yeah, that's the cylinder that we received that already.
$2,080 for the consultants.
okay.
Across, 9150. Holden Oil, 94301. Washer.
What are they charging us per gallon? What do I hold them? 289 per gallon? Do we have a contract with them? You know?
In the process of running it right now, I don't know.
Okay. Let's just check into that. That's something we're talking about.
We have the
The
tanks out
contract.
there, so we must have some kind of a contract with them,
Yeah,
to tanks.
so it's their tanks, okay.
I know they supplied propane for the two wells also.
Right.
Okay. Well, it sounds like we have a contract, but I'm just asking a question.
This, the washer, I don't understand what all this shit is, but,
What? The Shoba?
yeah.
The Shobe Analytical, those are the baseline water samples that DEP. is
Okay.
required.
I didn't understand it, it was a bunch of letters.
Pre-cleared.
420.
Yeah.
So what are they running here?
$420.
Those are the results there that you're looking at.
How many locations?
I mean, there's another 300 there.
7.
Another 120 there.
This is just like remote areas, and just checking the quality,
Right.
cross-check against our
We're
wellhead samples?
right. DEP, because we're doing the new treatment plant, we're changing chemicals and changing processes. And this is to let us know what we're doing now, what's happening through the transition, and what will happen afterwards. We're doing these once a month.
Manganese seems to be a hot topic in the last
Manganese is
couple
a
of weeks.
very hot topic.
So none of the manganese in these wells have gone up above the MCL, right?
Oh yeah, they have. They always have been. That's why you're getting a new treatment plant. They changed the MCL.
Oh, it's, okay, I see.
Those are
what's up.
distribution samples, and we only have one part of the distribution system that is being fed strictly from well 5 at this point. The Haverhill Street area, west of Route 1, before it's blended with well 2, is high.
My neighborhood.
So over half of them are higher than manganese, right, over the maximum?
Most of the bill for the aftermarket.
The only one that's over the limit for manganese is Haverhill Street. These are the results.
Okay.
Is that
These are
the bill
the-
for the solar? Echo solar?
DEP and EPA have put a maximum limit, and it's now a primary standard. It was a secondary standard.
No, it's a primary.
Now it's a primary standard.
Effective one.
I
Huge high dogs.
haven't got the date off the top of my head.
Was it this, just last 6 months or what?
More over
Related to
bulk-
this
bulk
is,
area than
We now have to do a public notice.
Manchester.
This is a new reg for all treatment plants everywhere in Massachusetts anyway.
Public water systems.
public water systems, and we have to,
Bill for the cap on that cylinder.
because, well, the treatment plant would normally take it out, but because of when the treatment plant is being done, we have to comply with the ruling to give a public notice for manganese until the treatment plant goes online. So you'll hear more in the future about public notices for manganese, but it's gonna disappear in 2 or 3 months. We won't need to, it won't be an issue as soon as the treatment plant goes online. But it's something we have to do anyway, so you'll all get a notice that we have high manganese, but anybody who does laundry knows we have high manganese already.
All right, so, Neshoba Analytical,
Yeah, look, we had 3 of them.
3 of them,
Yeah, we had 3 of them. 420, 300, and 120.
why 3? Different dates?
New England Money Handling.
Why didn't we go through Biomarine for the,
Because the survey analytical is less expensive.
all right?
Let's say it again.
New England Money Handling,
The
120.
survey analytical is less expensive than biomarine for the metals.
So I thought the question was, why did we go to Biomarine?
Why didn't we go to
Oh, didn't we?
biomarine?
Oh, okay.
Have we done the additional work on getting lab pricing?
We haven't had time. It's on my list of things to do, you know.
No, but I ran into that folder when we were looking for the invoices. There's a folder that has lab stuff in it that I've gotten for.
Usually you do this all at the same time, and you go out for bid for all, you know, you get it all your ducks in a row, go out to all of them at the same time and see what you got. And it's usually done the same time every year, or every 3 years, depending on how you set it up. I know how to do it, I just haven't had time to do it yet.
I hope this is the cylinder. That's a Model D, 420D, and they shipped one for 420B. Hopefully they're the same.
I hope so too, otherwise they're the same price. I looked at that on the website. And they're the same price, so if it's the wrong one, we'll just ship them back. So, but I looked at that, I noticed that too, actually.
We looked at, there was a whole string of things that took the same cylinder,
Yeah,
you were saying.
yeah, and I have to
Not
make
only
sure.
cat, but
Yeah,
others.
I double checked it, because
In the
at the
future,
beginning I
place,
actually did.
New Hampshire Hydraulics, rather than Manchester Hooksett area, which is very good for any cylinder repair.
What's the name again?
New Hampshire Hydraulics, Manchester Hooksett area, up in that area. PRS Group, for 840, 874.
That is the one that
They would have cut the eye off,
Computer support
piston
again,
the rod,
$294.50.
welded on a new rod and a new packing. But the aftermarket price is
Cell
probably
phone.
right up there with
Just looking on what it was,
For service and such, program equipment.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Sprint XL cell phone, 201.21. Staples, 81.27.
It's good buy and aftermarket cylinder.
Busted knuckle repairs of the 03 one-ton dump, $499.75. Raleigh Light, Prospect Hill, 64.78. Forty-two Havel Street, 582. Watford Road, 630, 98. Big Man, 1780-48. Havel Street, 1496-33. Central, 583.67.
That's for a month.
Must be. I thought my light bill was that.
Electric heat?
Next one's
Which address
around.
was that?
417.
All Verizon,
Electric fee.
6486,
What it is?
4304,
Neighbors are up there.
3610
3610,
heat, no thermostat, that's what it is.
8473, 8473,
We blended in from superintendent.
3880.
3880.
That's for the alarm circuit. Right. That's
That's really-
3473. And Western Materials, what, 102913 repair, 2507. What's that for?
Reimbursables.
Yeah, I'm gonna check into that one. I don't want, I mean, it's for $25 out of, and I know it costs more to process that than it's worth, but I wanna find out why we got that charge. Just out of pocket expense from an operator or something at the treatment plant. For the new treatment plant.
It just says materials for 102913 repairs, what it says.
Yeah, I looked at that with the accountant, and she had talked to, Jeanette had talked to Weston Sampson about that, and this, the receipt you have in the back is what they had. I think they only included it because it was included with an invoice with a larger amount that had been prepaid, and I think they will let that go. But what I'm leading up to is, in terms of change orders, you know, we're being asked how come we're worried about a $400 change order. My question is why we're worried about $25 worth of for the wire. You know,
We paid the $425.
that's
for-
paid, yeah.
And what was that for? Was that for the labor? Is that the one that we're bouncing back and forth from time to time?
Yeah, I see what you mean. That may be it. But
And then,
this was an out-of-pocket expense for this operator that we paid that one, the 400, that one's paid. The 2507 or the, 2507 is for this, and it's 100 foot of, it's a 20 feet of 4-stranded THHN wire. And so it's $22 worth of wire. And I think they said, Rowley Certified Operator Oversight, whatever that means.
I thought this is going back to that,
Soft start.
the soft start at 2. And that was what we were complaining about before.
why is it showing up here without, with
Why
a
is
bill
it
like
showing
that?
up as an oversight?
Why is it showing up as a bill with no description on it? Didn't we just
This
discuss this?
is all, they tried, this is all we could get. I mean, this wasn't an omission of, this was, the answer to our request was this.
Okay.
So I took a photocopy of this and I'm following it up. But the question is, in terms of practicality, I know the principal says follow it up, and I will. And I'll get my $25 for sure. But, do we want to play with this?
I don't care about the $25.07.
But I am going to follow up on it. Why are we getting this to start with?
Well, no, the point here is, this board has asked for a little bit more description on their bills so we can approve their bills
Okay.
more than once. It's nothing, I don't care. I personally don't care. I don't know how you feel, Stu. But if somebody was to take the bill and call them up, the billing department here, and say, what is this for? It's not on your bill. And come up with, and handwrite what they can say over the phone on the bill. I don't have a problem with that. But if they don't want to, I don't want Weston and Sampson to completely change their billing department to suit this board. But I would like, to be able to say, okay, pay it without too much ado, so.
Well, out of principle, if we don't want to pay it, I follow up on it.
Because we had the same question when the bill arrived. At first, we didn't know what it was, except
400.
for matching it up to the date.
I took off this bill, the last two warrants. Okay?
Yeah.
And I don't see it on here, so they're just putting in for the wire.
400 was paid already. It's just the,
Okay, so how does it get paid? I mean, how does it get paid? What's the purpose of us reviewing this and scratching it off and say, don't pay this unless they have more description on it?
I think that was 2 meetings ago, and I think the last meeting it was paid because there was more description.
I can't remember. So you sure about that?
But today the accountant told me this had been paid, and I do
Oh.
remember 2 meetings ago we did not pay it, and I believe at the last meeting we did pay it.
Okay,
We did approve it, or you did approve it.
all right. Because we didn't approve it, but I'll check that.
Initially you did, but I'm going to follow up on this anyway. I mean, the town of Raleigh is asking the contractors to cross their Ts and dot the Is, and they're saying, what are you getting? The comment is, why are you watching so small amounts of money for change orders? And they're gonna come up tonight.
Okay.
And I'm gonna ask them, well, why are you worried about $25? It looks like everybody's crossing their Ts and dotting their Is, so let's everybody cross our Ts and dot our Is. This goes in the file, actually.
I remember bringing the original bill back up to John Zakor. At the time we got the
Excuse me.
We've spent a lot of hours on this, and we've spent much more money than that's worth on it. We're wasting money. The principal, it's nice to be principal, but it costs money sometimes.
I know. I want things to move along smoothly. I just,
Yeah. But, okay.
You got anything else for me?
I don't think so. Let's see. And the spirits did it all in one night. Make it 6 minutes. Hang on a second. This one.
Thank you.
I'm still going shopping for the department afterwards.
Okay.
How you
We
make
have,
out with the dump truck?
Huh?
How'd you make out with the
Bob, what? I'm sorry.
The big dump truck blew it up. We got almost all the way around the block and went bang, popped. The fire.
When it was running out here the other day when I was over here, it sounded like it had water and gas.
Drove it around. He got all the way through town, was getting ready to come up the hill, and something went bang. The exhaust system caught on fire. And we pushed it in the garage with the backhoe and haven't had a chance to do anything but try to turn it over once this week. Starter solenoid's working. I was talking to Al this afternoon a little bit about it when he dropped off that.
What do you think?
What, Al is from Busted Knuckle, right?
Al is
Okay, that's what I'm leading up to, is part of the reason why we wanted to pay that bill tonight for Busted Knuckle, so that we can get the work done on the
What
truck,
do you think?
Back and look at the truck.
Skip time or?
which we need to purchase work
I
for
don't
that.
know whether it's skip time or whether it's something on the fuel pump.
It sounded like the way the thing was running out here when it was popping back to the car, it sounded like she had water in the gas.
Yeah, we put 2 bottles of fuel
gas.
conditioner in it. And like I say, he drove it down around through town, came up Weathersfield Road, came back up Route 1, turned the corner onto Central Street. He said it went pop, and one of the police details stopped and asked if he knew that he had fire coming out of the back end of the truck. He tried turning it over again, blew the flame out of the exhaust pipe, and hobbled it to the driveway, and we had to push it into the wood stock.
I think we bust a nut out, take a look at it, see what it says.
Maybe we want to get an estimate and appeal, but,
Dick will see what he thinks it is, and
I'm using more nitrous in the fuel, okay?
We didn't. We should have used more.
if you got a couple more minutes, there's two items that interface between the wastewater, the drinking water treatment plant, and our normal operations, things that are not SRF money. The more important one is we're trying to identify, this has to do with a new VFD drive versus the old one.
Yeah.
According to the spec, we're supposed to relocate a 20-year-old variable frequency drive from number 3 to number 2. The thing is, the technology's changed. It's cost effective to get a new one. And jumping ahead, I'm hearing stories that John Reza and the accountant put money aside. When I look at the budget, there's a line item there in capital for $15,000, which, and it says for refurbishing well number 2. And we believe, because of the money that's in there, we believe that includes the VFD drive as well as the refurbishment of the well. But it's just a line item, and I'm looking for detail. We may find that, but while Glenn was here, I was going to see if you had any questions about that, because we are, even though we're going to ask for a change order to that, it's actually easier for the contractor not to relocate the one that's there. It's better for us, it's better for them. So we might get a little bit of an adder and a little bit of a subtractor from that. So that hasn't been worked out yet, but I think it's non-SRF money.
Right. I believed it was our money that was going to buy the VFD, but Weston and Sampson or Kinsman was going to have the electrician that's on site install it. And this all started before I got here.
We're talking about $70,000 for the VFD drive, but the refurbishing of the well, and the what's the right word? Reconditioning of the well, as well as the VFD together, redevelopment, is about $15,000. But while Glenn was here, if there's any technical questions of why we would be doing this, or practical
I know we
questions.
talked about it before, but we just don't know where that money was supposed to be coming from.
Today I have some folders I found where it says 2014 fiscal year budget, and it might be in there, but I haven't had a chance to look at it yet. So I'm searching for it. But
So we're just looking for answers from you guys if you remember
Well,
how it was supposed to be paid for.
was it related to the overall picture for the new plant coming online? That there would be something that the contractor would have to do? Is that something, John, that you're familiar with?
it's a part. The project does take care of going to well number 3 and putting in a new VFD. And someone was thinking, well, let's take the old VFD and use it somewhere else. Well, why would we be replacing it if it was good? We're already replacing it because it needs to be replaced. So why, it doesn't make sense to use it somewhere else. So anyway, that's the discussion behind it. The change order, I mean, they're looking to do that right now, actually. And they're
So they wanna put a new one in well 3?
Put a new one in at well
And they're gonna
3.
take the one that's in well 3 now and move it to well 2?
That
Or
was
is that
the,
some-
that was the original plan way back when, but before I got here, I understand that you guys and everybody had decided to put a new one in. And, John Secor went out and got prices for new variable frequency drives. And the money was, I understood the money was set aside someplace. We don't know where. We're trying to figure out where. Was it coming out of regular,
Expenses.
well maintenance expenses, parts and repairs, or was it actually appropriated at some point in this well 2 rehabilitation?
Let me get it straight. This has nothing to do with the contract.
No, not really.
And so,
This is a
when we were
separate
putting the
side.
budget together, I was part of that team because, you know, the former superintendent was absent for months a few times. So, business manager put numbers down,
Mhm.
in anticipation of what was needed. And I'm not sure if she put anything specific to that. I'm sure she got feedback from John and maybe, you know, from a primary operator during the process. I don't know.
So that's all we can figure is that there's, it looks like there's, you know,
In terms of process, I think it's not, I'm not sure if it's a mixture. I don't think it's a change order. I think it's just, I'm gonna write a purchase order. I will get the story straight and bring it to you, but I just wanted to have a discussion while
Okay.
Glenn was still here.
So that has to be done.
And that has to be done soon, actually.
yeah. Otherwise, we're gonna lose the electrician and then
Okay, so
we're gonna.
So the same electrician that's gonna put the new one in
Correct.
is gonna take the old one out and bring it and replace, put it into
That was,
well 2?
that was the original plan in the original contract. But why take the 20-year-old one out of well 3 and put it over at well 2?
yeah, business.
Nobody
can
three,
get a new
nobody
one.
two.
It's
For
always
less
money.
money than they, for the same money, they can take that one out. And then we'll have a new one, modern technology, modern SCRs.
Energy efficiency alone will pay for it, so, you know. I mean, it's more efficient than the 20-year-old one.
Well, what's your recommendation?
Well, I just,
You wanna look at it and bring it up the next meeting?
I think there's
Or it has
a
to be decided right
It
now?
had been decided to buy a new one.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure out where we're paying for it from.
Okay.
I'll
That's-
research that.
That's all.
Okay, here's what we're gonna do, or I'm gonna do anyway. The electrician's attached to the job, so I don't know if we need to do a separate PO for the electrician, but I think so. Or a change order. No, we can't do a change order, it can't be the same
No.
money. So I need to write out a PO and get the facts straight, and then identify the source.
Okay.
Done.
And the only one left is you guys and John Sikora from what it's done.
Yeah.
We're just trying to figure out how to do it.
I don't recall being a subject. I don't recall.
All set?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll take care of that. I just didn't know. It's clear in my mind what I gotta do now.
Okay.
The, related to the water treatment plant is propane connections at well number 3 generator. We're moving the generator from well number 5, the old one, to well number 3. We were talking about Holden Oil a moment ago. They want $489 to make the piping connections. And John Sikora is saying if you make it part of the contract, if you do a change order, this will be cheaper than a change order, because if they do a change order, it'll require prevailing wages and other expenses. It'll be a lot more expensive than if we just hire them directly to do it. It wasn't part of the contract, apparently. Anyway, here's the, it's $489 to have them hook up the propane for the generator that we're relocating from
Yep.
well number 5 to well number 3.
3.
All right.
Well, that'll run that new VFD?
Yeah. That's on the
What, do you move it yourself with the backhoe?
No, they're bringing it over. It's part of the treatment plant contract.
All right.
Part of the contract is to relocate it,
well,
not to
fine.
hook up the gas.
Well 5 is now, as of 3:30 this afternoon, being powered from the new water treatment plant electrical service
Okay.
and the new water treatment plant generator. So the generator from well 5 will be taken from there, brought over to well 3. The old right angle drive, the propane right angle drive that was inside well 3 is gone. And the generator, they poured a pad out there for that this spring or summer before me. And this is to transfer the propane piping from that Ford propane right angle drive to the generator pad.
Basically some piping and connections. Okay, the rest I think that I have is what's on the agenda, and I have 4 change orders from the wastewater treatment plant to rediscuss. So unless you want to hang around, I think you can
We're
probably go on.
we're gonna get an inverter for the Ranger so we can read meters tomorrow.
Yeah.
All right.
How much is that?
Thank you.
$40. Can you get 2 of them? I mean, we're replacing, we broke 2 of them.
Yeah, we did, didn't we?
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you,
See you
Glenn.
later.
Have a good night.
See you later.
There are 4 change orders that have
Let's
been-
wrap up the minutes
Yeah,
first. Just go
okay,
back to
good
one.
idea. How you doing that?
Any comments on the minutes? Still?
No, I'm fine.
Have a motion? Accept the minutes?
I'll make a motion, we accept the minutes from
January 14th.
January 14th meeting.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And let's see.
Just trying to make a quick phone call.
I'll bring this up under new business request for John Hargraves to put together a packet of the change orders.
Okay.
He's like, he's sweating, I'd like to look at it. And builders risk insurance.
Okay, so, protocol for Raleigh Water Department correspondence outside.
What I did is I got a copy of the 30B and reviewed it for spending limits, so on and so forth. I think I may have forwarded it to everyone I had email, but basically it designates where I would have to get periodic quotes. The first limit, which I think is up to $10,000, and then from, or $9,999. From there, from 10,000 to 24,999, I think, I'm going from memory here. It's where we have to get 3 written quotes, and the board can approve it, and anything 25 and over. This is for goods and services, would have to go downtown. As soon as you get into RFPs and other categories of spending, it all has to go to the primary procurement officer, which is the town administrator. That's the beginning. It doesn't say anything. What I was hoping to do was to streamline this process for you if you wanted, which was to, I had heard that the water superintendent has a spending limit of an approval limit of $1,000, in which case I could, if that were true, I haven't seen it yet. If that were true, I could actually review these for you and then put tabs on the ones that are over 1,000, say, and, you know, you could focus your time on that. That doesn't mean you couldn't go through the whole thing and look at each one and ask questions. But I'm just trying to make it your job easier and my job easier here. So that's in progress. I'm still looking to see where the policy says that. It doesn't right now, so right now you do have to approve every one of them until I see something that changes that.
Okay.
So that's a work in progress.
Over and above that, I just wanted to stress that any correspondence to the outside on behalf of the department and the town, for that matter, should come before the superintendent. And if it's very important matters or sensitive matters, they should come before the board before they go out. So,
Right. Along those lines, just to revisit what precipitated that, Mass DEP reviewed our request for extension on the contract, on the water treatment plant, and they asked us to resubmit it, but to break out the schedule so that we know, so that they know which portions are being extended and which ones will be done on schedule. So Weston and Sampson Barbara has written a draft of that, and I passed it on to the chair. And and also the town administrator to see if there are any additions or revisions, and I've done that as well. And probably tonight I'll send that to her if there are no comments. That will go to DEP, I asked the town administrator if the selectmen want to be the originators of that, and they said that as long as they have a chance to review it and to be copied on it, just continue to do what we're doing.
do we have a copy of it here now, or?
I was just going to print that out, actually. I think I sent it to you, and I sent it out to the printer. But
I think I read it, but did the other board members get a chance to look at that?
Let me print out a copy in a moment.
Okay.
Well, let's see how to do that.
You got it, well, you don't do it now, so.
One thing that Mark may not know is that there is a fiscal team that I I guess, meets with you people and stuff like that. And one of the problems in the past was, ordering things that didn't fit because no one was overseeing the purchase orders or whatever type of a thing. And, he might want to talk with the fiscal team about his trying to streamline things, because they may not want that to happen just yet. I don't know, because I'm not a member of that team, but, they seem to have a very short chain on you people, and, I don't want anybody to get in trouble over trying to not skirt the issue, but to defeat what they put in place.
Yeah, I think he's talking about real small stuff.
Well, like the pizza serving kit.
We did have a
I
fiscal
had to
team
bring
meeting.
that up, I'll argue.
We did have a fiscal team meeting, and I did attend, but it was more about things leading up to the FY15 budget. But that's a good point. I could bring that back to, and more or less that's who I'm talking with anyway.
Okay.
Because that's who I got the 30B from, and my response to the chair about everything I just said was also copied to them, so I'm getting their help, yes. So,
Okay.
well, yeah, it's not a one-man show. I'm getting their help to streamline this.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me get those copies. Excuse me.
When we get the business managers and all that stuff all squared away, then we get blanket POs for some of these supplies we get all the time. It should weed out a lot of this stuff
Right.
as far as, time-consuming things.
Oops. Let me- There's a draft in here.
Thank you.
Maybe you'd like to see it, huh? It does say that the treatment plant will go online. I think, well, the contractor said it'll be done mid-April, and then after that, the DEP has to inspect it and give their go-ahead to go online. But once we do that, while the treatment plant is running, there will be other things that, the reason why we need the extension. Some of them involve putting, well, you can see it right there, but I'm going by memory, but it's the finishing up the wells, the additional wells, the changes from the high lift pump to the low lift pump, and then feeding all the wells to the treatment plant, and also the monopole, and going from the telephone telemetry signal, changing over to the digital telemetry signal. And so it's spelled out there why, what we need the extensions for. And it's very clear that there's 3 weeks there of cushion. So full disclosure of all the details to DEP, which is what they're asking for. That is the first draft that came out. We're changing, the reason for the initial extension was they said the concrete contractor went bankrupt, and that, unless you know construction, you would assume that that was just the people supplying the concrete, which is not true, because you can call anybody up and get concrete. This is the people who build the forms, lay in all the rebar, and it's a lot of physical work setting everything up before the concrete comes. So it's really a misnomer. It's the the concrete preparation, the structural units, concrete preparation. So everything that has to be done before the concrete's actually brought in and poured, which is the bulk of the work. So pouring the concrete's the easy part. And
Well, I looked at this and I don't have a problem. Has anybody else looked at this and had a problem, or they've got
No.
back to you?
in fact, I'm the only one who made a correction on it so far.
Okay. Came in the 28th, which was today, right?
Yeah, I'll send it out to Barbara tonight, and she'll send it out tomorrow morning. And I think the CC has to change to town administrator / selectman, and then interim water superintendent / water board, so that it's clear everybody's getting a copy on CC.
You guys have any,
I have no problem with it.
still?
No.
So I think we need a motion if we just came out, right?
I'll make that motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right.
You want to talk about the new treatment plant while we're here?
Well, we're gonna hold that up for a minute. Let's try to knock off some of these other subjects here. Transfer status on unseen fund budget.
That has to do with,
That's gonna have to do with the last issue too, of plant status, contract services, protection, oversight, consultants.
A together.
Outside contract services for business operations updates. Stu?
RFP proposals will be open tomorrow. And then we will meet tomorrow afternoon. To discuss what's best for the town.
Okay, so you're gonna handle that with the administrator?
I'm meeting with the administrator tomorrow afternoon.
Okay. So it's gonna happen tomorrow, right?
Proposals are open tomorrow, will be open tomorrow. Morning.
In the minutes for last time, you said you wanted to know who was bidding, and we don't know yet till tomorrow. I mean, I did
You're
ask.
right, yeah.
It's inappropriate to asking, and not inappropriate, but you don't know who's gonna give a bid tomorrow morning, just before 11 o'clock, so.
Okay, keep it fair, all right, I understand that.
I'll know tomorrow afternoon.
Okay.
I'd like to bring this up, if I may.
Sure.
I'd like to go to the board to request John Hargraves to put together a packet of the change orders and the builder's insurance. He puts together a packet for the selectmen to go over.
Okay. So the selectmen want to know the details of the change orders?
That is correct.
They've been forwarded the change orders all along, haven't they? They want to know what.
They would like a packet
Just they want it all together?
to request that John Hargraves
Does they want John to present it?
look into this further and put together a packet.
Okay. Well, do you think that John should present the packet at a meeting over there, or?
I would think present it to the administrator, present it to the selectmen. Well, John, you could have John present it to the selectmen.
Okay. Well, we're gonna call John up here in a few minutes for this last thing, so. Let's get rid of these other things, we'll bring up John here.
Can I understand what you're saying, is that I have some water treatment plant change orders that are two of which the work is complete.
Sure, I remember the dates too.
One is for $4,380, that the work is complete, and another one for $751 where the work is complete. And that's, are you saying that this all has to be approved downtown?
No,
No.
they want a packet put together
Go ahead.
of these change orders.
Okay.
And the bills, there's risk insurance if the ball was dropped on. It's supposed to be in the contract. And the water department had paid that,
Okay,
somewhere around $20,000.
for risk insurance, okay.
Let's bring that up after we take care of these two, C and D. Let's take care of C and D,
Yeah,
and we'll take, E will encompass that, and that, okay?
agreed.
All right. So interim and permanent hire of water superintendent status, do you have a job description here?
Okay, I think I have one in your packets.
Yep.
On the bottom. Per the board, Stu and I got together a day or two later and we reviewed the, I think, 1997 job description
Yep.
and made changes. This is the first draft from that discussion. I'm unclear at this point who will process this from this point on.
I meet with the administrator, and then we go to the personnel board.
I think what we ought to do is, we ought to first have an agreement with the three board members and put it up to a vote, and then go through those steps. So with this here, is there any chance you could highlight the changes
Yes.
from the original one?
The biggest change is the nature, it reflects how times have changed and the nature of
Yeah.
the superintendent. Yesterday's superintendent did exactly what John Reza did. You put your boots on, you get out there, you get some work done. But that person's forte was not office work of any kind. It was not computer related. 1997, we didn't even have, I think we barely had the internet for 5 years at that point. We had to have a business manager, in addition to someone who was closer to a chief operator. And this is my perception of it. Today, I think you're looking for at least an associate's degree person, but more likely you're looking for someone with a 4-year degree in engineering or something related, that allows them to converse more fluidly, I guess, with business forums, so that you can deal with capital budgets, so on and so forth, but still be able to get out of the office, do inspections, jump, at least look into a pit, if not walk it, jump into a pit. You can't stay in the office all the time. You need to be office savvy, but you also need to be able to get out to the field and know what you're looking at. You need to know, if you're not a full licensed operator, you can at least pass the test. I think there's a requirement in here where you must pass the operator's written exam. You can't become a full operator unless you work the job for like 4 or 5 years or something like that. And usually engineers don't have a full license. But you can have an operator in training license by passing the test. I mean, you'll have an OIT. You couldn't run the plant. You could run the plant under a primary operator, actually, but you couldn't be the primary operator.
Mm-hmm.
The primary operator is a primary operator with a full license. The superintendent would be an operator in training who could operate the plant, who could do rounds on an emergency basis or something like that if they were needed. But they would be working in that respect for operations under the primary operator. So it should be somebody who's computer literate, who is in the field quite a bit to inspect things, knows what's going on. But I think you're looking for somebody with who can get a license, an operator in training, OIT, an operator in training license, and somebody who has a degree in engineering, preferably civil engineering, but something related to that. Of course, experience, you can look at different kinds of experience and make that decision yourself. You're also, we added a component of safety training. One of the main responsibilities of the superintendent is to hold regular training meetings called tailgate meetings. This person should also get out at least once a month and inspect all the outlying areas. You don't want someone who's going to sit in the office all the time, and you don't want someone who's going to be out in the field all the time. You've got to have someone who can have those capacities shared.
Balance.
Yeah, you need a balance. You're not an expert in either the field or in the office, but you can do both. Let's see. You should be familiar with all the 310 CMR 20 regulations, which is the water regulations for DEP drinking water regulations. You share responsibilities of the work scope of a water commissioner, and only in this regard. You should be developing long-range planning of water programs. When do we need a new well? How about fire protection? Are we covered for fire? What's the population doing? Do we have a new business in town that's using a lot of water? And if they're not using a lot of water, would they use a lot of water during a fire emergency? So looking ahead and planning, even beyond the capital improvement plan, you might look at a wish list of a capital improvement plan 20 years out. What's your long-range planning? What's your long-range expansion? What's your long-range emergency planning? And as you get closer to maybe 5 years, you're looking at a capital improvement program. So in contrast, the primary operator is looking at, he or she is minding the store, doing the day-to-day operations. The superintendent is capable of supporting that. If you're shorthanded especially, you can do that as a secondary operator, as an operator in training. You're looking at a greater purview of not just operations, but you're looking at where's your income coming, where's your money going, what about safety, what about growth, those kind of things. So that's the highlight. I think it would have been shorter if I read it.
Well, what I would like, Mark, I don't know if you could do this by the end, I'd like to be able to take this as a first draft. And we should look at that.
I made a couple of.
Well, let's bring them up.
One.
Let's bring them up a little later, at our next meeting.
Okay.
Let's look at this as a first draft. In the interim, maybe you could just show us what had changed from the original description. Maybe highlight some areas on this thing. And so let's try to get our heads together at the next meeting and try to finalize this job description and take a vote on it and then move it forward. Does that sound like a good plan?
It sounds like a good plan, but is that up to us to do? Is that up to you to do, the water board to do, and then pass that on, or is that going to be done downtown?
No,
They want
the draft and say go down to the person.
They want the board to be pushing this downtown.
Okay. And they will actually, the HR department will actually place the advertisement and solicit resumes and so on and so forth, and conduct the interviews.
Okay. So we'll call this a first draft. and then it'll be on the agenda for the next meeting. Okay?
What I'll do is I'll give you a copy of the old one and the new one.
Yeah.
And it pretty much paragraph to paragraph changes or omits or adds, so you can follow along.
All right. Loop status for Fennel Drive and Mansion Drive. This board has been trying to get this issue going, so I think that Stu has presented in the past. Stu, do you want to just reiterate what we talked about this with our former superintendent?
We've actually been trying to get that through for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
I think it's imperative that we request Mark and Glenn to Mark ask Glenn to, or Rob, or Peter, any, to measure Fennel Drive. Find out where we're going. And I would like to get a warrant together, an article together for the town meeting. Why it's so necessary is, just for an example, in December they had a water break on Kittery Avenue. So they had to shut the water down. So Mansion Drive in the further part of Kittery Avenue was without water for part of the day. Heaven forbid if there was a fire. The second reason is to loop the system. The water is continuously flowing. And says it all. If you have another water break or whatever. But if you had a fire when that water was shut off, heaven forbid.
So,
It's very,
City open, you know.
it's
so how
it's
much,
absolutely necessary to loop that. Every water
Well,
line should be looped, so there's no dead ends.
we can get the distance on Google. You know where the ends and you know where we're trying to loop it up. You don't even need to bring a wheel out there. And then it might make sense to get somebody, an engineer involved to come up with an RFP. I don't know if, you know, you can come up with what it would cost to get an RFP together, so we can put that on an article for the May meeting.
If it's possible, it's not that difficult. It's possible it could be done in-house.
Well, you started out, I'm not familiar with this. You started out by saying we should measure it. If it's a small job, maybe we can, I don't know. But it sounds like it warrants a capital improvement estimate. Even if we don't go out, I mean, this is capital, and we could identify.
Right.
There is some money, there are some line items, so there's at least one line item for mains. But that's usually valves, and I have to go here. So the money might be there already. Let's see. We had maintenance of hydrants, gate valve replacement, cleaning well number 2, and clean storage tank. That cleaning well number 2, that's the one that $15,000 I was talking, we were talking about the VFD drive. And none of that is spent yet, but actually some of the hydrants and the gate valves, there's some of that will be spent. But there's not, there is not something here for
I imagine, I mean,
that. We'd have to get
not
together money.
exactly, I imagine it's probably quite a process. Because I mean, we get across the brook and we gotta go for permits, anything through conservation, the whole 9 yards,
There has
correct?
to be an article for town meeting.
But I mean, it's not something that we can be doing like next year, it's probably a couple of years down the road, correct?
Yeah, it'd be part of a capital improvement plan of some sort.
We have to get the
Well,
ball.
Oh, I realize
Yeah,
that,
we need
so
to
I'm
get
just
the ball
asking, I'm
rolling.
just asking a question.
Yeah, no, I understand.
Yeah, we'll have to
I
price it out.
think that we can get a guesstimate on what the cost would be, and then we have to look at, can we do that without really...
And once we get the footage and then we know how many.
Yeah,
made
if we know approximately what a project like that's gonna cost us, and I don't wanna just overload everybody with a new project, but we're trying to get this plan online and stuff, so let's look at it, what the guesstimate would be, and then try to figure out how that would pan out with rates and everything else.
Well, I think I'll do what Stu suggests. I'll go out with Glenn and we'll look at it and see. I don't know if we're talking 1,000 feet or 100 feet. You know, loops are always a better idea if you can do that in the design. Sometimes it's not possible,
Right.
but if
That's
you can
probably
do
gotta
it,
be-
it just makes sense to do it.
It's not really a big distance.
Right, Sue?
It's not really a big distance, it's probably maybe 1,000 feet at the most,
No, it's more than that.
you know?
Fennel Drive hasn't got water, right?
Excuse me?
Is there a main coming down on Fennel Drive? Where's that stop, at the brook? So is it from the brook to the bottom of
Hit the
Kittery?
last home then. I tell you what I'll do. Tomorrow, I'm going out with my wheel. I've asked,
Give me a call and I'll go with you.
okay, 3 or 4 times about it last summer there in the,
Yes.
in the fall.
You get a good ballpark anyway, so we know what we're talking about.
Right.
We gotta go from the last fire hydrant on Fennel Drive to the bottom of Kittery, correct? Where the hole is down there? Is that where we're
No,
going
you
to do?
understand.
You go right
The
up-
line goes up Mansion Drive, so you go to Mansion Drive.
It's,
So
You don't have to go down to Kittery.
Oh, okay.
you go from Kittery, once you go from Kittery to, not Kittery, but...
No, Mansion
Fennel
Drive.
Drive,
Fennel
Mansion
Drive.
to
Fennel
where
Drive,
the
the
last
Mansion.
hydrant is in Fennel.
Right.
That's 1,000 feet, I think.
It's a bit more than that, I think.
Uh,
I don't know, may not be as much as you think because you drive slow through there.
All right, so let's do that. And you can come back, report to us, the board, the next meeting. All right, so the next plant status and contract services projection of oversight consultant. So John, you want to come up here?
You'll be around tomorrow night for the next day.
Tomorrow, yeah, I'll be here, but I have an appointment in the afternoon.
Okay, I'll give you a call. I don't keep people you longer next day.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming in, John.
Not a problem.
Before we start, these change orders now, can you guys bring this up with us now? Because
Okay, the ones that have been, and John can help me, I wanted to wait till you got here actually. But these are ones that either have been done because they had to be, and we know about them, or they're holding up, they're either holding up the project or they will hold up the project. But this is where I need your feedback too. The ones that are completed are the frame, modify the door for the frame of building 106, 106A. Modify 106, 106A door frame. That was $751. Are you familiar with that one?
No, I'm not familiar with any of these. I've been out of the loop since December.
Okay. So, can that be approved? That's something that we've already,
well, we've hired John Hargraves to kind of go through these, to advise the board on these things. So why are they bringing up these
That's the one where
individually?
they
Usually they
had a
bring
big
them
item or
up,
something.
usually they bring them up with a whole stack of them, right, on one sheet for a
Well,
change
we
order
recently did ask them to, as soon as they published, to get them
to us, so we
submitted
can
to us.
say thumbs
So we
up.
can start looking at them. We're going to distribute them to all folders.
Okay, so this is all new to you, and you've been out of the loop over there since when?
The last work I did on change order was that meeting we had before Christmas.
The last construction meeting?
The monopole meeting that we had here about that change order.
Can I answer your question a moment? I mean, yes, they usually bring these up in bundles. And at the construction progress meeting, they usually give a whole package of invoices and change orders together. And I just want to mention that that next meeting, I was going to bring that up anyway, but now it seems timely. The next construction progress meeting is Monday the 3rd, in the afternoon around 4. And if we could send a representative from the water board and or the selectmen, we're invited to come.
You wanna go to this one, Stu, or?
Monday the 4th.
That's it. 3 or 4.
Maybe the last one.
I have to confirm. Monday the 3rd.
And
Monday
that's
the 3rd.
Roy that was on a truck most of the time.
Yes, the 3rd.
Unless you're gonna be around that day, you know?
I don't know what I'm doing tomorrow.
You wanna go, Roy?
If they're gonna be here, for sure, when you take care of it.
What time is it? Again, Mark?
I believe it's 4 o'clock. I'll let you know if it's different.
Right here, right?
Here, yeah. But they couldn't come to a night meeting usually. Not everybody could.
Okay, so now that, well, there's been like a change in protocol of getting these things, that's like a change order that's put before us, is that what it is?
I think these are
And then
unique.
once these things go before us, we say that looks pretty good, then they put them on a formal thing?
Correct, unless it's an emergency one, like the monopole, unless they wanted. Sometimes they say, hey, we need an okay, we need to get on this work right away.
Yeah.
That's when the phone calls, they call you and say, we need to discuss this in a meeting.
I don't think there's gonna be a new protocol. I think they're gonna do it the way they did it before. It's just that these are either done or they're gonna hold up the progress of the plant. That's why I'm bringing them tonight.
So they want a decision on them now?
If we can.
Okay. Have you had a chance to review them? So how long would it take you to review them?
They seem to be fairly straightforward.
There's only one that's expensive, that's a lot of money, $11,000, and that's one that has been around. I'm told you know about it already.
I do know that, yes.
Do you know about this one?
Yes, I know that it's
Can you
related
explain that, or
to.
maybe you can explain it better like that? It's the sewage pumps, there was electrical changes for that? I don't know.
There's
the-
an electric, there was a follow-up with the contract, and they need to wire floats and slickers to the septic tanks. But no, I haven't delved into it yet. That seems right, $11,000. At first glance, it seems to be high, but, this is the first I've seen the breakdown.
Okay, then I withdraw my request. I don't think we need to approve them tonight, not this one.
Let Stewie look at that one anyway, he does that for work all the time.
Yeah, certainly the ones that are gonna hold up the contract, we have to stop. We can't hold up the contractor for something that's on the critical path. This one here can wait.
Okay.
Okay, so,
Two are not, work is complete, so we don't have, that's not gonna hold up anything. And this one is the only one that, let me see, this is change order for the revised ceiling of the training room. There's a training room in there, I don't know if you've been in there, and when they were building it, they found a better way to make it work and look better. But to do that, they had to change some things, and they were talking about $928.
well, why don't we do this? These simple ones that'll look like they're minor money, if you think that the board should consider approving them, let's hear about it right now. And the ones that are a little more complicated, like the ones John was asking about there, let's hold off on that one.
I did see this one, and it looked reasonable. I did take a tour with it. This one does look reasonable. There's a beam involved that was in the way, and
Revised ceiling of training room, 106, okay? It's only another $928. It's well below the 5%. Do you recommend that we take this, Mark?
Yes.
Okay. You wanna look at that, Roy? Let's try to move some of these things on.
This one, the work, this is the truss bearing.
Let's take one at a time, so
Oh, I'm
it's
sorry.
not- I don't get confused here. We can move this thing going.
I misunderstood.
This one here, isn't this the original one? The one that changed the front door to the ID? What we complained about? Remember they said the beam wasn't strong enough to hold it up?
There's several doors in the place. What's the HM door, Mark?
106, 106A.
Yeah,
I haven't seen that one specifically. That's the one that work is lower right hand corner. Is that work done? I think it is. Yeah, that work is complete.
It's complete. so what is this? Is it just a $750 over or above the original cost? Is that what it is?
Yeah.
What was the original, no, you wouldn't know that. Was there an original estimate for the front door corrections or something? Or the door corrections, you remember that, John?
That front door with the column,
Yeah.
that's gone. That's approved and
So this is not
So
part of
what's
that?
this one?
this is the first I've seen the package tonight, so I can't discuss it.
So you know what an HM door is? Do you have any idea what the HM door is?
Yeah.
But regarding that column change, it does actually look better with the column, believe it or
Yeah,
not.
it does. Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Okay, let's take this one at a time. So, is there any problems with this revised ceiling at training room 106? Do I have a motion to accept this?
You guys have looked it over and you're happy with it?
That's one of the few things I did look at, actually. I just happened to be there and he showed it to me.
You recommend this?
Yeah. It's
That's the one you just looked at.
I know what it is.
it's you're essentially altering the design that was there because there was interference with some of the utilities. And so this actually makes the room look nicer and you don't have utilities hanging down. It was an interference, the way it was set up.
Okay. Do you have a motion? $928.
Because they're giving you, it was 18 something, they're giving you a credit to us for 992, right? So it'd be $928 more.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the move.
Okay, second?
No, second.
All in favor?
And
Aye. Take that as unanimous. This other one here, now, what's,
This one, here's a cover letter.
let's try to just do a,
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't, when you said this one, I didn't know what you meant, sorry.
so this is provide electrical for sewage pumps. This is the one you wanna look at? Okay. So, I want John to look at that. And what's this one?
That's the
here?
one for the septic system.
Revised PT truss bearing plates at CMU.
They forgot, two pressure treated plates that would go above, just like any house, which goes above the CMU block, and it supports the trusses. So this was something that came out of the structural department, I believe, as an oversight. But the dollar amount on that was coming in where it was supposed to be, above the comfort. But I haven't been able to go through the breakdown yet.
Is this gonna hold things up?
It's done.
Oh, it's done.
It was one of those, it seemed like it was in order last I looked at some of the figures, but I can take another quick look at it and get back to you.
Was this presented before? Or?
The way it happens is that this comes out of an RFI from the contractor.
Yeah.
Or an RFI generated, or change order generated by the engineer saying, hey, we forgot this, I was about adding these plates, in this case.
Why is it when an engineer forgets something, it always costs us money?
Right, that gets back to the 5% retainage. I think we should discuss it after the meeting.
So, this is already done. It had to be done.
Yeah, if the P of record stands up and says, hey, I need that in there, you have to put it in there. Then it's up to us to discuss the cost and agree to the cost.
Okay, so it's. Well, yeah. I'm gonna make a motion to accept that. Mark, do you recommend that?
Which one is that again, I'm sorry?
The revised PT truss bearing plates.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that one.
Yeah.
But I believe that happened early on in construction, didn't it?
When the black walls were up there.
Yeah,
That's probably
that would have been,
September.
but that was one of the, part of the structural. That's what happened early in construction.
Was this brought up at a construction meeting?
That particular change order? I'm sure it was mentioned in one of the meetings.
You got a recommendation on this?
My recommendation is to hold off until I review the costs.
All right, hold off on that one.
4380, picture the plant, it's a good sized building. We had to add 2 pressure treated plates around the whole perimeter and fast clean. So the 4380 includes the contractor markup and everything else. I doubt this is going to be a problem, but the way we look at these change orders, we have to bring it down to reality and see if it's.
No, I mean, that's why I asked you, your recommendation, you're the man that knows more about it than I do.
Giving you my mindset. I don't want to be called on the carpet and say, why didn't you look at this price? It seems to be high. So I'm not going to bring it to the board and say that I feel comfortable with it unless I back it up with something.
Okay. Is it this? What's this one here, Mark?
Well, on the same lines, this is a letter from Kinsman asking for a change order per the designer's direction. Apparently, it appears there was an interference fit from a door opening and hitting something, and they had to change the height of the door. So again, it's done, but you might want to have a look at the price.
You're going to buy a rubber stopper? A little bit cheaper?
it's already done, so
It's
we're not
already
gonna
done.
hold it up, so
I
we
mean,
want
the only
John
thing you
to
can do
look
is
at the price.
decide on the price, but
Yeah.
it's been done.
Okay, let's just, have John get involved in that.
Well, that being said, let's look at this one again. Are you familiar with the revised ceiling in the training room?
I heard about work that was being done there,
As long as you're out
but
there.
I need to, have to look at it.
As long as you're out there, why don't you take a look? What they're doing looks reasonable to me. Whether it's a fair price, you know. See, once, and that's we're talking about holding oil. If we get it done that way, as soon as you get into our SRF money, you're gonna pay prevailing wage, which is expensive. I mean, as soon as you get SRF, you're paying very high salaries, high wages.
I know that, and we can't, you're limited on who you can get in there. You don't wanna get somebody new in there. You want the guy that's already set up doing the stuff to do it, right? So,
So, you know, it's expensive to change anything. I mean, we can all relate to that door's too big. Let's, cut it down, do this, a little carpentry work, a little welding, this and that. And it's $800 later. It
well,
doesn't take a lot of labor to get up to $800.
yeah. Let me just reiterate, I think this board had a feeling several months ago, more like maybe 6 months ago at least, that we wanted not to be, under duress to sign these things. We wanted to have some time for our man, Johnny on the spot, to look at this and so give this board the degree of comfort to say, okay, go with that. That's that price, because we don't know anything about the price this far. We want to make sure that the price changes are, something that is palatable. And the only way we do that is to have somebody that is on top of the whole construction project, and that's why we brought John on board.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what's reasonable, but did I go out there and calculate stuff? No.
Now, something changed, I'm not sure if I'm aware of it or not. And we're gonna start bringing in little changes that end up on a bigger list. So we can get a little bit, on top of the time factor. But, some of these two change orders, two of those change orders are already done. So they had to go do them, so.
And I don't know how they got done without them getting approved.
And I don't know how they did it without getting them approved, so.
Sometimes it comes from the West, and we feel comfortable with the way it's happening, direct them to go ahead.
Okay.
Sometimes it's a call from me to you saying, what do you think about this? Seems to be reasonable.
Okay. So let's just try to, at the construction meeting next week, I'm not gonna be there, Stu's gonna be there, and just to reiterate that we want our comfort level increased on these things. And to do that, we want, more input from John and Mark. And then we're doing our part by getting more involved by attending these construction meetings. Okay? All right, so,
If it's snowing, I won't be able to make it, but I will call you.
okay, I'll be the alternate, like before. All right, so then, plant status and contract services projection and oversight consultant. So, last meeting, we approved, what was it, $3,000 over 6 weeks? Is that, is that gonna,
But it depends.
what are we sacrificing here if we're gonna cut back on your cost? I mean,
Okay. The $3,000 estimate was based on past experience over the past, since I started in May. And generally what I've been doing during that time was, controlling the pay requisition, looking at the change order requests, and I'm not trying to duplicate efforts at all, but
With John Sikora.
correct. Drawing on some of the comments I've made, it's not going to change the course of the project. There's a watchdog factor going on there. So the $3,000 a month seemed to be bare bones to cover that. I anticipate that going forward, the process control aspect of the job is going to require some more research before we get too far in advance. You don't want to be caught flat-footed not knowing how the contract without spending some time studying it in advance of the construction work. So that's what I was planning on doing. There have been some change orders that have been on the table recently. And we actually haven't been satisfied with the amount of backup that we've been receiving. So then we're caught between a rock and a hard place. You get a contractor saying, hurry up and get an answer. But then he's not giving you the backup. So to cooperate, John Sikora and myself sit down and try to go over and figure it out for the contractor. And he's probably on the television screen now watching, but the fence change order in particular is a perfect example of our problems with the paperwork and the backup that we've been getting. So we want to stop and use that as an example of how we want these change orders packaged. Think of a fence as must be a very straightforward thing to estimate the installation costs of it. And so we stopped when we felt like we were getting fleeced by his sub. And we got on the phone and said, $10,000 to add a few additional fence posts doesn't make sense. And so he said, well, I'm not a fence contractor, I'll get on the phone and call him. And he did. Make a long story short, they weren't budging on the price. So we actually got some additional prices on our own. And we're getting a credit for the remaining work. And I'm going to recommend hiring a new subcontractor for that to be completed sometime after the contractor. That's an interesting story about the change order process I can get into later some more, but the reason why I'm bringing it up is if we outline to the contractor what we need to process a change order, it should free me up and give me some more time to do what I think is necessary in preparation for the instrumentation and control problems that are apt to come up. Maybe we sit down and we don't worry about it and the change order stay below 5%. But that could be just optimistic, too overly optimistic. So it's good to have somebody looking out for the town, considering that it's a volunteer board. If you wind up with a stack of paper and nobody's put the time into researching it or understands the contract enough to make any decisions, that type of problem can snowball. And you don't want it to. You get those change orders like we have at the monopole. Hurry up, you're holding up the contract. We need an answer. It's difficult. But maybe there aren't any change orders. And the place can start up in May. And all I was a watchdog or whoever's doing the work. That's all I have to say, I guess.
Okay, so you would have trouble doing all this work, especially since we're going to be doing the controls and the plumbing and the fittings and the processes and stuff like that.
I was planning on boning up on some of that portion of the work to be prepared. And I do think that I could rectify some of these processing of the changeover problems. That has to be done in writing to the contractor.
So what, are we gonna be cutting ourselves short? Because we figured out at the last meeting that the limit, your fees to $3,000 for 6 weeks. So I want to make sure that, you know,
Well, what I've done is I've faded out of the picture since about January 8th. And it doesn't seem as though things have gotten any more complicated. So maybe what we do is we just continue as we're going and see what happens. I guess I'm here trying to figure out if I should jump back in and do some of this. And Friday is the change order review not the change order, the pay requisition review that I normally do with John Sikora in preparation for the Monday meeting. You know, I'm not really here trying to sell myself or anything like that, but I guess I'll do whatever the board wants me to do. And I'll also try to recommend what I think I should be doing with what I've been trying to do since.
My personal belief is, we need John up there watching out for us. I don't know nothing about building. Don't have the time to go up there and stand there and watch him. He knows what's going on, he knows the prices, and I believe that we need him up there.
well, Stu had brought up the fact that they want the selectmen want to have like an accounting of the change orders we've had to date and what, you know, the costs were and stuff like that. Was there
I mean,
anything
a
else?
couple of things he's already caught, and it saved us the money that we're talking about giving for 6 weeks. He's already saved that for us.
Yeah. Yeah, so, is that something that you can fit into under that $3,000? Can you fit in get us like a memo together with all the change orders?
Well, we've been preparing the 3 reminders that we've seen before.
Yeah.
And I loaned the one I had for the last change order package back to John Sikora, so we can add to it. I can go back and get that as well as the other change orders and put it together.
Okay.
And let you know where I am with my
Depends.
time on that.
Okay. The other thing that's come up, that, of course, it does concern you, but it concerns more of us, is that, you know, I asked Weston Sampson at the last construction meeting to find out if there's another source of money we could pay you out of, the SRF, so.
I have an update on that if you will.
Okay.
The latest on that is we have made an informal request. I mean, there was a discussion, I can skip it on. We have an informal request to DEP right now. They're kicking it around to see if they can do it because it's under SRF. Once they come up with an answer, then we would give them a formal request and they would grant it. So they haven't said no, and they're still thinking that they might be able to give us SRF money for this, or allow us to spend SRF money for John. But it's not, they didn't say no, they think maybe, and we're
Okay.
just trying to find out for sure right now.
Okay. The money that they're looking at to be able to reappropriate on their level would be the money that was for the loader. So there was a fee in the SRF for the loader. And so we discussed that, I think, last year sometime. So if there was a dollar amount in there that would be more than sufficient. Part of that would be more than sufficient to cover a consultant like John.
90 or 100,000.
Yeah. So I think we discussed that we don't really need to buy a loader, but there is money in that portion of the budget to maybe take on a service like his, or maybe something else that may crop up that might be acceptable to the state. So that's something that we've already decided we didn't really want a loader, because, you know, we would use a loader in that facility, from what I gather, maybe once every year or once every 2 years. They clean the basins out.
The dollar amount that DEP is considering for the SRF money is $15,000.
So that goes back with the desire of the Board of Selectmen. We went to them to get an unforeseen budget tapped into. And so I'm not sure if that has raised a degree of caution to proceed with John's services. So I don't know if we want to maybe think about that and bring it up at the next meeting to see, you know, where you are at with your budget, what you foresee you might need with what's coming up. That we could probably revisit the topic we voted on last meeting. So in the meantime, you've got that construction meeting to go to on next Tuesday?
Monday.
Monday. And you've got to come up with the change order. You've got to review those change orders to see if that's appropriate. You're also in the midst of that fence issue for a change order thing. And you've got to come up with maybe a tally of all the change orders and, you know, what the cost of the change orders was. Maybe what they started off when you came on board, because you had nothing to do with, there was a jacking price for the water main going underneath the river, and we directional drilled it. We saved a lot of money that way, but there's somewhere after change order 2 that you came on board, I think.
Yeah, it came on with the change over the column at the entry.
So what change order was that? Was that 3 or 4?
4, I think.
Okay.
But I'll do whatever you want me to do. What I don't want to have happen is, you know, tell me to stop work and then not be prepared to answer the questions.
Yeah, okay.
Keep going down the road.
Does anybody else have any comments?
You know, I just put the leading up there myself.
I do too.
And if he can't do it, I know Glenn doesn't have time, I know I don't have time. We've got other concentrations, so it does. I mean, these are good examples. It's like there's pressure to get everything done. It's either done or it's going to hold the project up, and we're trying to answer questions we don't know the answer to. And right now well, it doesn't matter the amount of money, but we don't know for sure.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm capable of doing it, but I have other duties that I don't have time to do.
I know. And then, you know, John has been very helpful for us to be able to make educated decisions on approving these change orders. And, you know, we need help. So anyways, that's all I have to say about it. So why don't we have a motion to conclude, adjourn, do an adjournment?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
That's all right.
All in favor?
Aye.